odd jobs is the theme tonight. And through this Rolodex of odd jobs I've had, I've decided to tell a story to sort of warm things up or cool them down, whatever, before Mike comes up and does his story. It's a story that takes place in the 60s, and I would really like you to, if you can, listen to it in the spirit of the 60s, okay? And if you weren't there, I don't think you should worry too much, because none of us were there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to return as a storyteller, and I really want a warm welcome, okay, for the first story of the evening. Okay. Don't overdo it. In the autumn of 1968, I booked passage on a freighter from New York to Morocco. I quit my job, I packed my bags, I said goodbye to my people, and I was ready to go with about 2 days to spare. And I noticed during that time that there was a real shift in perception. What was before serious or important became trivial. I guess I could say one word, and it would be I was feeling rather aloof. And it was because I had no more responsibilities, I had no job, no time commitments. And moreover, I was about to embark on the most fantastic journey of my life. I was about to go to a foreign country for the first time. I was crossing the ocean for the first time with a one-way ticket. I had no return date or idea. I had no itinerary. I had not even the name of a hotel in Tangier, much less a reservation. So I was full of feeling and full of I never had experienced quite that intensity of feeling. And I thought, I can't handle this really. I have to find a package to put it in. Something to give it a handle so I can deal with it. And I kind of thought about it, and I said, this is really what we call an adventure. And I thought of adventure, and then I thought of it dawned on me, I'm a swashbuckler. No, it really wasn't. But growing up in the Bronx, you don't meet a lot of swashbucklers. So I had to find a swashbuckler image to go for, and it was Douglas Fairbanks Sr., who was the swashbuckler's swashbuckler. He was fists on the hips. He was D'Artagnan. He was the thief of Baghdad. He was Sinbad. Everything he did was big. And you know, he always had the camera below him, so that it was always, you were always as the camera looking up at him, and he was looking down at everything like that. He was just fantastic. And the only thing that he ever looked up to was the future. He would... the future was the sun in his face. It was the wind at his back. It was everything. It was opportunity. It was hope. It was joy. Everything. And it was just this... I internalized that, and of course, fortunately, I wasn't too overt about it. I kind of kept it more to myself. And I remember going into a bodega in Manhattan, and what happened outside, what people saw happen was me buy something. They saw kind of this thing happen. But what was happening inside, because I was incognito, I was a secret swashbuckler, was, little does the senorita know that this person who has just bought this Twinkie is a swashbuckler. Where's the milk? Then the phone call came from the freight company that the ship was delayed for a month, which is an enormous amount of time. But with cargo ships, that happens 30 days. Their business is cargo and not people. So I had to do something for 30 days, and I knew walking around Manhattan, as a swashbuckler, even when in secret, it was not going to work. And I also knew that probably I wasn't going to find enough buckles to swash, if you know what I mean. So I looked for and found a part-time job in Manhattan at a dog grooming parlor in Lower Manhattan, right next door to the Oscar Wilde Memorial Bookstore, if you're ever looking for it, if you're ever down that way. I went for the interview, I got the job. Alan, the owner of the place, gave me my tutorial, which was, okay, here's the sink. Let's see, this is the shower head. Cold is on the right, hot is on the left. Shampoo, rinse, towels, more towels, and this is your blow dryer. And over here, these brushes that are hanging here, they're different sizes. I will show you how they work as we go. Wonderful. Then Alan presented me with my certificate of graduation. It was a salmon pink, puckered sleeve, rayon zip-up beautician's frock. So working there for those 2 weeks, I did learn something about the world of dogs in Manhattan, and or people and dogs in Manhattan. And one thing that Alan told me was that if he failed, the people who came to his place had birthday parties for their dogs, and they would get the dogs together in the neighborhood and put little conical hats on them, and they would feed them ice cream and cake. I hope it wasn't real ice cream and cake, but they would feed them and sing happy birthday and give gifts. And Alan said that if he forgot to send a birthday card to one of those dogs, that was the end of the relationship. That was it. Finished. They would bring their dogs up to Maurice, the other guy on the street. One morning, Mrs. Katz, K-A-T-Z, no pun intended, Mrs. Katz came in with her poodle, her French poodle, Poopsie. And Alan, who, it was a tiny shop, and he could very easily have just taken 1 or 2 steps across the room to get to Poopsie. He opted for the more theatrical, sort of little teensy steps. I said, oh, Poopsie, Poopsie, and he picked up the dog, and he said, oh, I miss this dog so much, Mrs. Katz, you have to see, you can't stay away this long. We have really love this dog, Mrs. Katz, but right now, what I want is for you to go away so that I can spend some quality time with this dog, okay? Now, you're going to go out with your friends and have lunch, whatever. Just go, just go. Just go. You little shit! And he slaps the dog, right? And Poopsie kind of goes, this is the 60s. I could communicate with animals. We did that stuff back then. So he hands me the dog. He says, just take this shit. I don't want this dog. I can't stand. So I took Poopsie, and this bond happened right away between Poopsie and I. Well, it's okay, Poopsie. You know, it's going to be okay. You know, and I put Poopsie in the tub, and I turned on the water to a soothing warm, and I started to wet him down. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a wet poodle, but their body is about as thick as my thumb, right? They get a little longer or shorter depending on the size, but that's about it. And the hair just mats around that. So in front of me is this sort of tube of hair, and just quivering. And his eyes were previously in his head, but now that he was wet, his eyes were kind of this little marble sitting on top of his head. And I kind of blew it. I didn't remove the ribbon. So this perky blue ribbon was now sort of hanging down. And he's looking like this, and I'm going, oh God. And so I'm talking to him. I decide I'm going to talk him down. And then I could see it's okay. It's going to be fine. It's all right. Just relax. And this soothing voice, tones, yes, Poopsie, everything's going to be okay. And I didn't think it was so weird that I was talking to a dog until he started to talk to me. He said, every time I come into this place, the guy starts with the whack. I said, well, did you ever do something to deserve it? Did you ever snap or growl or bite him or anything? No, I don't bite people. I've never been a biter. This guy's a little high-strung. Quite frankly, I think he needs to get laid. No. So you're not French? No, I'm not my friend. My mother was French. I was born up on 14th Street and 2nd Avenue, just by the delicatessen up there. The Deli King, you know the place? I said, the Deli King? I love that place. They've got these fantastic pastrami sandwiches. They're fantastic. I love it. The pastrami up there is pretty good. Forget about the pastrami, for Christ's sake. He said, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. And look what you're doing to me. It's you. You're just as guilty as anybody. Here's this, you're putting perfume on me. You're clipping my hair, you're putting ribbons in my hair, you're acting out all of your fantasies and you're doing it with me. You should be ashamed of yourself. What's your story anyway? And I kind of looked at myself in my orange frock, and I was holding this hose with the water dripping down from it, and I had in my other hand a bottle of Johnson & Johnson's No More Tears baby shampoo. And I said, me? I'm a swashbuckler.